Section 3. You will hear two psychology students talking about an essay. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hey, Simon. You look down. How are you getting on with your essay for Professor Jones?
Not very well, I'm afraid. I can't seem to get my head around it. I mean, it's such a wide topic that I really haven't got a clue where to start.
Oh, poor you. I'm actually free now, so I can give you a hand if you like. You have until the end of this week, don't you?
Yeah, I have to hand the essay in on Friday afternoon, but the professor wants to see my proposal on Wednesday morning.
Today's Tuesday, so that's tomorrow. You had better get a move on. Let's have a look.
Thanks. I'm just trying to brainstorm some ideas, but I haven't got very far.
Let me see. Well, firstly, I think that writing your ideas in a list like that really isn't going to help. Remember how we were taught to do spidergrams at the beginning of the year?
Diagrams?
No, not diagrams, spidergrams. It's supposed to mimic the way our brains process information rather than simply expecting them to come out in some kind of logical order. They're also sometimes called spider graphs because of how they look, like a spider.
Okay, I'll start over again.
Right. Now, our essay is on people's motivation for participating in extreme sports. There are two sides to this, really. The external and internal influences.
Right, so let's look at the external influences first of all.
So, what kind of things make people want to do extreme sports?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the amount of media attention on the topic. There are always stories about people taking part in the latest craze.
Exactly. Now, let's think about this more carefully. Why does so much appear in the media?
I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
Well, according to the published materials out there, it's a reflection of modern culture.
Of course. Yes, you're right.
Now, what about the factors that come from within the person?
I suppose the most obvious thing to say is the adrenaline rush.
Right, but what else?
People would want to test their limits, which is a psychological need that all humans have.
And there's one more thing that we haven't added yet.
What's that?
What all animals do naturally. Compete, of course.
Right. It's the element of competition that drives all things to be the best. Now, why didn't I think of that before?
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
How much background reading have you done on the topic?
Actually, none at all. It's really bad, isn't it? But I just haven't had the time with my part-time job.
I know what you mean. But honestly, it's so much easier once you've read around the topic a bit. Did you get a copy of the suggested sources? Because if not, I've got one here.
No, I didn't. Thanks, that's a great help.
I tell you what, you write down the main points and I'll read it out.
Okay, go for it.
The first one's by a guy called Hans German, and it's called Crossing Borders. It's a research project that was carried out on around 200 participants of extreme sports. It's a really interesting read.
Okay, what next?
The next book was written by a man called Richard Bell and is called Motivation Theories. It gives an overview of thrill-seeking and why people choose to put their lives in danger.
Is it long?
Yeah, it's quite weighty. Why?
It's just I really don't have very long before the essay needs to be in. So, is there anything on there that would help me more quickly?
Well, I did find a podcast on the topic. I didn't write down the author's name, but they are called The Mind Files, and it's also about the theories and principles, but obviously doesn't go into as much detail as in a book.
That's absolutely fantastic, Therese. How can I ever repay you?
Oh, I don't know. A coffee, maybe?
Of course, my treat.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.